Okay, so I've got the guitar on the table. I'm supporting the neck with a couple of books. You can buy ready-made guitar neck rests from the internet, but a couple of books do the job just fine. First thing you need to do is take the guitar strings off. Now what you don't want to do when you're taking guitar strings off is to cut them when they're under tension still, because that can damage the machine heads and the tuning pegs, especially if they're cheap, which I suspect these probably are. So what you want to do is unwind, undo like this, and then cut them. Now the reason why we cut them is because at the end, when this one comes off, I'll show you, there'll be a coil, and when you pull the string through the tremolo block, they can get caught in the tremolo block and they're an absolute nightmare to get out. So let's just see if I can get this up. Yeah, you see, look, that could quite easily get caught in the tremolo block, and it's, like I say, it's an absolute nightmare to get out. So I cut it, and then we do the same for all the other strings. I won't bore you with that, so I'll crack on with it and come back to you. Right, so to straighten the neck you need to adjust the truss rod. The truss rod's a metal bar that runs along inside the neck, and it increases tension or releases tension, whichever you need. I've just noticed that there is an entry to the truss rod here, which there are on a lot of guitars, so I'm presuming I'm going to have to take the neck off, and hopefully there'll be a truss rod in this guitar. If not, this is going to be a very short part of the video. Right, so if I just get the guitar on, all I need to do is take the neck off. Take the neck off is to undo these screws. Let's see what happens. Bit like Christmas, isn't it? Like a present. Right, I'm going to cut and then get these other two screws out. Right, so good news. This neck does have a truss rod. Hopefully you can see that. So that's the metal bar that's inside this neck that you can twist either way to straighten the neck out. It's an Allen key job. So yeah, so this is what I'm going to use to find out whether the neck of this guitar is straight or not. There's a guitar neck straight edge. The notches are obviously so you can put them over the frets and see whether the actual board itself is straight or not. This is good because obviously your frets could be uneven, which would put a normal straight edge out. This is £15 I got it for, I think. You can get more expensive ones, but I'm sure it's okay. So let's give it a go. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this straight edge. This is the headstock end of the guitar with the nut just there, and as you can see on the second fret the straight edge sits flush to the fretboard, so that's a good start. But as we move along you can see a gap starting to creep in. Sorry, let's just try and make sure this is focused properly. See a gap starting to creep in underneath. the straight edge quite big there, look. Cool. That's better. You can see that quite clearly as you go along. And then towards the 12th fret. So that notch there, you can see that the guitar's next straight edge is pretty much sitting on the fretboard again. And we've got a bit of gap there, but that's okay. So it's obvious that we've got a bow, a forward bow, in the middle of the guitar neck. And I'll go on to explain what that means now. And now for the brilliant scientific explanation with most excellent graphics.
In every generation there is a chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
And that's my phone going off. Anyway, back to the brilliant scientific explanation with most excellent graphics. As seen here in the most excellent graphics. There's two different sorts of bows in a guitar neck. Okay, so here is a forward bow. Where are we? Forward bow. Okay, it's called a forward bow because, excuse me, say this was the end with the headstock on it and the tuners, the bit where you tune your guitar. It's bending up, it's bending forwards towards you. And the essence of this bow basically is you have a bit of a dip in your neck. Okay, here's a string that goes across. So if you have this forward bow, you're going to have quite high action. That is, the gap between the neck and the top of the frets is going to be quite high. It's going to be quite hard to play. And you probably get some fret buzz around these areas at the end of the guitar neck. But now you actually want a slight forward bow in your guitar once you've got the strings on. The idea is that you get the guitar neck straight without any strings on. You put the strings on, the tension of the strings then pulls the headstock up forwards, so you get a forward bow and you get a slight bow in the guitar. Once the strings are on, and I'll explain that in a minute. But what we definitely do not want is a back bow. This is obviously the inverse of the front bow, forward bow rather. The back bow is where the neck bulges up in the middle like this. So obviously you're going to get fret buzz. This is the string again, as designated by this hand-drawn line. At the ends you've got space obviously, but in the middle of the neck you're going to get fret buzz. And even choke outs I suppose when you bend the strings. Okay, now why would we want a slight forward bow in the neck when we've got the strings on? Well, the answer is illustrated in this excellent diagram. Okay, this is the guitar neck and we've got a slight bow in it. Now if this was a string that hadn't been played, obviously, it's just sitting there minding its own business, staying still, and then you come along and play it, it vibrates up and down and backwards and forwards, so it oscillates in an elliptical manner. And as you can see, if it's going up and down, you need some space underneath for it to be able to oscillate, for it to be able to vibrate. And this is why we have a very slight forward bow in the guitar neck. It's to allow the string to vibrate. Okay, that's it. We're going to go into the next bit now, which is the actual turning of the truss rod with an Allen key. Exciting stuff, isn't it? Okay, see you in a bit. Right, so if we have a forward bow, that is, yeah. So we have a dip in it in the middle, and this bit is lifting up we need to turn the truss rod counterclockwise and take some tension out of it. So let's loosen it off its lefty loosey. So in. Okay, counterclockwise. I'm going to go literally about a quarter of a turn. Now I have to take this very carefully because if we apply too much pressure, you can break the truss rod. If you do encounter some resistance to it, maybe a bit of WD-40 will do the job. Let's give it a go. Yeah, that's pretty tight, that. Right, you heard that, didn't you? I think it's alright. It's just a little bit stuck. That's pretty tight, actually. I'm going to go and see if I can find some WD-40 to spray into it. Bear with me. Okay, so I've just sprayed some WD-40 into the truss rod socket. And it should... That's still quite stiff. That's it, it's going now. It's just stiff. Okay, so I'm going to turn it by about, like, literally, that's less than a quarter turn. And I'm going to check with the ruler now. The ruler, the straight edge. Let's have a look. Hasn't done anything. No, don't think that's done anything. Let's try a bit more. I presume I'm turning it in the right way around. Let's try again. Keep going. Turn it another quarter. And that's loosened off quite a bit there. Just then. That's looking a bit better. That's looking quite a bit better. Maybe another quarter turn. Just have to take it out, yeah. Still a bit of a gap there. So it's not dead straight, isn't it? I think that's about as best we're going to get it, to be honest. Just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to go the other way, tighten it back up again. See if it does. See what it does. Tighten that right up. Right, hang on. Actually, you know what? That's better. Like that. I don't understand that. Alright. Well, if it isn't already apparent, I've absolutely no bloody idea what I'm doing. Let's tighten it up a bit more. No, that's better like that. Definitely. Virtually no, again from about fret 6. Check it out, I think I've right. Let's Just want to make sure I'm not going to get a back bone. Yeah, I think it's gone the other way a bit too much. Right, I'm going to loosen that off. That's got a slight back bone in it now. Loosen it off a bit. About there. I think that's about the best I'm going to get it. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, when I turned it a bit too much there, I was starting to see gaps at either end of the neck, so that would imply I was starting to get a back bow. So this is about as best I can get it. It's still a slight gap from sort of 6 to 9, something like that in there, but it's a lot better than it was, that's for sure. It's not far off at all, actually. Okay, I'm happy with that. That'll do. Right, so now we've got all that set up done, we can go on to actually leveling the frets. I have noticed since I've taken the strings off, actually, you could probably, I don't know if you can see, just there. Sorry about that, I just took a photograph. Right, let's just move there. Where's the focus thing gone? Well, I think you can just see anyway. The fret wire does have some dents in it from the strings. I don't think they're bad enough to warrant the frets coming out, and I think when we level the frets they will get taken out, but we'll find out. Okay. Hi, only me. Well, I don't know how else it will be, to be honest with you, but anyway, I just wanted to clear up that last segment where we turned the truss rod to straighten the neck. I realised I've been a bit of an idiot. When I put the straight edge on the fretboard, I could see that I had a forward bow. So I should have really clicked that I need to tighten up the truss rod and take that bow out by essentially giving it a bit of a back bow, I suppose, to cancel out the forward bow that naturally occurred in that neck. Because when I undid the truss rod all the way to where it wasn't having any effect, there was an obvious forward bow. So that means that neck has a natural forward bow in it, and that's why it needed to be tightened and put a. You've actually got to tighten it up, so you have to go clockwise and tighten up the truss rod, and then that puts a little bit of a back bow in it, which negates the front bow. So that's what I did in the end. I just wanted to make that very clear. And I've got a nice straight neck. So the next thing we're going to do is level the frets.